You're listening to Spin It, a spin on digital marketing. We are spinning the discussion about everything web, graphics, digital marketing, and much more. And we're here to help get your business's online presence back on track. Join the team as we spin it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Spin It. This is episode, I don't know, of the new year. So we're just going to roll with it. Today we're here to talk about all things file types. So why each file type is important. So to my right.
Hi, I'm Abby. I am a graphic and web designer here at Spin.
I'm Mackenzie Swinky. I'm kind of the jack of all trades for Spin Market, so I do it all, I guess. And then next to me is my name twin,
Mackenzie Scotchy, and I'm the marketing administrator here, and I just help keep everybody in line, including the dogs, as always.
And I'm Caleb Westall. I guess I forgot to introduce myself, huh? I'm Caleb Westall, digital media designer, podcast producer for Spin Market. So Mackenzie Scotchy has the question of the day.
Okay, so my icebreaker question of the day is, do you prefer to get text or phone calls, and why?
Text.
Text.
There's just no doubt about that.
I feel like it's our whole generation, because it's not that I get nervous to do a phone call, I just would rather never.
Yeah, because my mom and dad are always calling me. I'm like, you could have texted me that.
I guess like I'm okay with some phone calls, but if it's like a
quick thing.
If it's like, I don't know, I guess it depends on what the call is. If I have to process like my responses, definitely text message.
I think it used to be that people always called before they texted. Now everyone just texts you first. Not everyone, most everyone. But I think yeah.
As soon as I get a text where it's like, can I just call you? I'll be like, I'm gone.
Be like, no, I'm in a meeting right now.
I'm not gonna lie. I have used that as an excuse.
Sorry,
I have a lot going on.
I had someone that, like 3 days ago. They were like, can I call you really quick? And I'm like, oh, I'm at a work event. Sorry, I need you to text me.
Or I just ghost. I'm so
also,
sorry.
Most of the time when they say that, it was like a quick thing they could have just texted. Like it wasn't a paragraph.
Yeah, well,
that getting.
So my response was, I'm in a work event. Is it textable? And he texted me 2 sentences, and it was just, I'm not going to be there tonight. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Oh, I get it. If it's like a serious matter, I somewhat get it, but it's just...
Yeah, he was telling me he's out of town, couldn't be there. Like, okay, cool.
Yeah, easy.
It was funny.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
should we get into our topic of the day?
100%.
Let's do it.
Our topic today is what's the difference between a vector file and a JPEG, PNG, all that stuff, and why is it important to you? So, for starters, Webster defines... No, kidding. So the difference between a vector file and a JPEG. So the basic definition, or how I would go about explaining it, is JPEG, PNG is like you're a photo, pretty much. PNG, the only difference is that sometimes, depending on what you export it as, it will not have the background in it, which can be helpful for logos and stuff, but it is not the actual way you need it for the logo, and that should not be what you settle on as what you get from your designer is just like the JPEG PNG version. And the reason for that is the vector file, and the reason why it's important. So the vector file is consisted of points and lines and curves. So what that means is that when you design a logo, it is not based on the pixelated. So when you expand that picture, it can only be enlarged so much before it becomes pixelated and like not visible really.
And grainy.
Yeah. So, but with a vector file, when you export the vector file, it can be changed to whatever size possible. You can literally there's no limit to this file size, and it will still come out as sharp and clean as the original file. So that's why for sure you need to make sure you have that file as a logo. We have so many clients.
Yeah, not just the size. It's so that way if you switch designers,
They can go in
it can
and
get edited.
Yes.
make slight changes if needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's so many benefits to it. We have so many clients that come to us and they don't even have like a PNG version, which is like,
And it's
I would
usually
say,
a
like-
grainy JPEG.
yeah.
I
it
know
would
I
be
got
like-
one, and Abby we both got one recently that they came through as PDFs. That's all
Yeah.
that we got.
What do you have to do once you receive
Remake the
that?
logo.
You have to redo it,
Yeah.
And how long does that typically take?
depending on how in-depth the logo is.
I had one
Yeah,
that
it
took me
really
10
depends.
minutes, and you had one that took you like
An
2
hour,
hours.
Yeah,
Well,
So-
yeah, because you're really struggling to find the font, and that's like,
which it wasn't a font.
yeah.
Yeah. So some of them some of them can be a little bit easier to remake, especially if it's like a font that we can find. And yeah, we can match the color to like as close as we can get it.
Usually it's never exact.
But yeah, it's never going to be as exact as the original file. I mean, human error. It's never going to be perfect.
If I were you, make sure, because the vector file, they come in as, it'll be like your file name .ai. That's your vector file.
Also, there's the SVG.
Yep.
That's a good one for if you maybe don't want it because like an AI file, that's the original designer file. So that can have a lot more, can be like a, what's the word? I'm
Larger
looking for?
file.
Can be a larger file size, which means, that's a lot of storage. And it can be hard to send it to people sometimes because with how much storage.
The
or
other one
how
I've
big
seen-
of a file, but
The other one I've seen is .eps.
yes.
SVG, EPS, and AI are kind of your like vector files.
And if you don't know what they are, that's totally fine. What I would say is to write them down. Any designer that actually understands design stuff will understand what that means. And I
And
guess
Google can help too.
Yes.
It's very helpful to walk you through the definitions, and it even gives examples. So
yeah.
but
So,
we're here too.
which a lot of people don't understand the difference between a vector file and a PNG. So,
Most of the time, they won't even be able to open a
yeah.
vector file.
So-
But they still should keep it
Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't
with
even
their
know
logo
of it
information.
till this just coming here, and you guys walking me through that. And like now that I know what it is, I will always like work to have that sent over. Like, it's just that.
So-
It's such an important thing. Like we have so many clients that they don't have that file. They don't even know that that exists.
So
that's kind of why we're talking about it today, is so people are more aware of that, I guess.
And honestly, I could see people just deleting it because you can't open it, and it's got such a weird ending. They probably are like, I don't need that.
Yeah. And so
don't
with
delete
this-
it.
Yeah,
Don't
don't delete
delete
it. Keep it.
Yeah. You may not be able to see it, but it is
Make a folder
so
with logo and
important.
put it all in there.
Yes. Keep track of all that stuff. It's seriously, it's really frustrating when, especially for you guys, like if you switch to a different designer, you're kind of screwing yourself, like, because now you don't have the original file, and you're adding time onto your client or your designer, which means it's probably going to cost you more money to have it redesigned and recreated, which I mean, it's probably good for the designer. I mean, extra money. Sorry, jokes on. Yeah. But again, it saves you time and you have the actual file. And that means that we were talking about like colors and stuff like that, having the original file, we actually have the original color code, because even if we match the color, because we have the capabilities to match the color, it is not the exact color code. Adobe just kind of finds as close as it can get, but you need the actual original file code. And so to you that might not seem like a big deal, but it is a very big deal, especially when you get like the bigger companies. Like I don't know, like I was thinking John Deere, like, cause I was doing something for my dad, and they have a specific color code for their colors.
Oh yeah, like Iowa Central, you walked me through their style guide.
Yeah. And any big companies, they have a style guide, and they'll tend to like send it. So like when they have anybody work with it, they have like the actual style guide that'll show you exactly how you can use that logo, and you can't alter it in specific ways.
And it just makes sure that when you print it, it all looks exactly the same.
Yeah, because you don't want a slightly darker blue. Because I mean, if you normal people, they may not notice it, but if you lay them all next to each other and it's not correct, it doesn't really look good for your brand.
Yeah.
So this is why we are very heavily trying to push people to understand what the difference is between a vector file and a PNG and JPEG and all that stuff. They each have their purpose, and that's where I think people need to figure out what the purpose is. It's just the same thing that we kind of deal with with all our different programs that we use to design things, like Photoshop and then Illustrator. Illustrator we use to design like logos and stuff like that, but we can't do that in Photoshop. Photoshop is to adjust like photos and stuff like that. So everything has its purpose. So JPEGs and PNGs, they have their purpose. And we can export those vector files as those for different projects, but that should not be your designated, your specific logo that you keep to give out to everybody, because it's not going to last in the long run. And the more people adjust it and tweak it, the smaller the file size or the smaller the size of it is and all that stuff. So vector files. That's where it's definitely going to come in handy. And that's where I would say you need to be very adamant about getting that vector file. And if a designer does not know what that is, you might want to consider a different designer. I'm going to be honest, because that is like a basic thing that we had drilled in our head was vector files.
It's like the first week discussion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's just crazy to me that if a designer doesn't know what it is, I don't know why you would trust them. It's kind of like going to a doctor and you're like, oh, I have a cough, and they don't even know what a cold is. Like, it's the
That's
same
a great
type
analogy.
of thing.
That's a great analogy.
It just came to me, sorry.
Wow.
But this is the same thing. Like, why would you trust a designer that doesn't know what a vector file is? The basic file. But also as a business, and especially a growing business, or especially if like whatever business you have, I would say, especially like if you're a growing business, like if you're going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, vector files need to be a thing. Otherwise, it's going to screw up a lot of the design stuff. And again, it may not seem like it matters to you, but it will in the long run, and it's going to affect you at some point. And either that, or it's going to really frustrate the people that are designing your stuff. So, and it's going to waste their time too. So in the long run,
we've been there for that.
Yes. And we know. So we're not just sitting here talking and, just to fill up the time. Like, this is actually a legitimate thing to make sure you have. Like,
It's important.
it's frustrating. As a designer, I could say it's so frustrating when you don't have that vector file, because it just makes things difficult. And so why not make it easier? And it's literally 2 seconds of them just exporting it as a SVG or whatever the file size is and sending it to you with all the rest of the files. And it saves you and everybody else involved the heartache. So why not do it?
It's true.
But so that's kind of all my little spiel. I mean, I could go on and on about how important it is, because I don't think people.
I think you nailed it.
I get really
Into it.
yes, this is a very important topic that I wish people understood more of.
Definitely.
So
It
it's
affects
kind of
your
my
creative time.
yeah, I could go on a rant about it. Like, I remember, so in high school I did speech and stuff like that. So one of the things that you could do was what is it called? It was like you would go in there and they would give you 3 or whatever topics of different things.
Improv?
No, it wasn't improv because it was like legitimate things. And even if you didn't know what it was, you picked one and then you had like 5 minutes or like you had a minute to like think of ideas to do. And then you were just supposed to just talk about it. It was like a debate thing, it was just you and you were just supposed to go on and on about this and give your points and all this stuff just based off of that one topic. And so, I mean, seriously, like now, if that was my topic and you're just like, here's the timer. You have 10 minutes to just sit here and talk about it. I'd be like, okay, let's go. Like it would be the easiest thing for me. So like that is, it's definitely something that's important. Like a pet peeve of mine, I guess. But so again, if you need help with your logo, and trust me, we understand vector files. If you haven't figured that out by the end of this by the end of this podcast, then we definitely know what a vector file is, so we can get that for you for your logo.
Reach out at www.spinmarket.com.
2Ks.
You can email us. We all have our personal emails. It's just our name at Spin Market. There is, let's see what else. You can call us, follow us on social media, visit our portfolios, and come join Spin Market for all your digital marketing needs. So we'll see you next time.